10 ways the UK has quietly changed over the years. Once known for its quiet strength, dependable institutions, and sense of shared identity, the United Kingdom now feels like a nation in flux. Ask anyone on the street, from retirees reminiscing about the past to Gen Z navigating today's uncertain future, and you'll likely hear the same thing: something has changed. This isn't just nostalgia. From rising costs and shrinking global influence to political upheaval and a crisis of mental health, the UK in the 2020s feels very different than it did even a decade ago. Let's explore 10 reasons why the UK is no longer the country it used to be, and what that means for its people. 10. The cost of living challenge. The cost of living continues to dominate the national conversation. With inflation reaching 3.5% in April, the highest since January 2024, many households are feeling the squeeze. This spike is largely attributed to increased housing and energy costs, along with higher council tax and service charge. Wage growth has not consistently kept pace with these rising expenses. For middle and low-income families, budgeting has become a monthly battle. Financial stress contributes to poorer mental health and discourages long-term planning. Moreover, food banks have seen record demand. The Trussell Trust reported distributing nearly 3 million emergency food parcels in 2024 alone, highlighting the severity of the financial hardship. The rise in childcare costs and transportation fares has also made it harder for parents and commuters to make ends meet. Many households are forced to cut back on essentials or rely on credit just to survive, increasing financial vulnerability. This ongoing strain is reshaping how people live their daily lives, from work habits to spending behaviors. 9. Decline of the high street. Traditional high streets are facing challenges due to online shopping and changing consumer behavior. In 2023, over 10,000 stores closed, including local businesses and department stores. High streets were once spaces for community life. Now, many are characterized by empty units and generic chain stores. While some towns are revitalizing through arts and pop-ups, others continue to decline, contributing to regional disparity and loss of community identity. Vacant storefronts are more than an eyesore. They're a signal of broader economic distress. Communities that lose local retail often struggle with reduced foot traffic, leading to further closures and less investment. Local councils are experimenting with new ideas, but success depends heavily on location and available funding. 8. Public services are crumbling. Public services, especially healthcare, are under increasing strain. The British Medical Association reports that approximately 1.64 million people waited over 4 hours in A&E departments in the past year. Local councils have declared financial emergencies, cutting services like libraries and youth programs. An aging population and growing mental health needs are stretching resources further. Schools are also impacted. Teacher shortages and funding gaps have led to larger class sizes and diminished educational quality, particularly in disadvantaged areas. Waiting lists for special educational needs services are at record highs, leaving vulnerable children without adequate support. Public transportation services are also declining in many areas, making it harder for people, especially in rural communities, to access work, healthcare, or education. 7. The housing crisis. The average house price reached £290,000 in November 2024, with affordability still a major barrier. High demand and limited supply have driven up rental costs, while social housing availability has declined. Many young adults remain with parents into their 30s. Others live in insecure rentals or poor-quality housing. Homelessness charities report more people relying on temporary accommodation or sleeping rough. Although schemes like Help to Buy exist, supply issues and planning delays persist, making the dream of homeownership increasingly distant for many. The government has promised reforms, but critics argue that solutions have been slow and insufficient to meet demand. In many parts of the UK, new developments are aimed at luxury buyers rather than those most in need, widening the gap between the housing haves and have-nots. 6. Brexit fallout. Post-Brexit, the UK has renegotiated trade and regulatory frameworks. While new deals offer opportunities, disruptions remain, especially for small exporters and the fishing industry. A recent UK-EU deal eased some trade barriers but also extended EU fishing rights in UK waters, raising concerns among domestic fishers. Brexit has reshaped national identity and introduced lasting political and economic challenges. Critics suggest that Brexit may have cut the UK's GDP by 4% over the long term. The impact on sectors like agriculture, higher education, and logistics continues to evolve, with new regulatory frictions and workforce shortages presenting barriers. Visa changes have also complicated travel and work for young people and professionals, altering how Britons interact with the rest of Europe. 5. Loss of community spirit. Social cohesion is waning in many areas. The decline of local pubs, community centers, and high street activity has weakened community bonds. While digital platforms and grassroots initiatives offer new ways to connect, they often lack the depth of traditional, in-person interactions. Older generations in particular feel disconnected from modern forms of engagement. Volunteerism and civic participation are also declining, as people work longer hours or feel disengaged from local decision-making. As these trends continue, communities risk losing the very glue that once held them together. This loss of shared spaces and routines contributes to social isolation and the weakening of informal support systems. 4. Declining global influence. Britain's influence is changing. Once a major player in global affairs, it now faces the need to redefine its role post-Brexit. The UK remains a key NATO member and has joined the CPTPP to foster new trade relations. Still, critics argue these steps don't fully compensate for lost EU trade benefits. While soft power remains a strength, through media, universities, and culture, Britain must compete in a multipolar world where newer voices are rising. Rebuilding influence will require strategic diplomacy, renewed investment in global partnerships, and greater domestic unity. At major international summits, the UK's influence has sometimes appeared diminished compared to previous decades, leading to questions about its long-term global relevance. 3. Political instability. Frequent leadership changes and internal party conflicts have contributed to political fatigue. Public confidence in political institutions is at its lowest in over a decade. Many citizens feel disillusioned, citing short-term policymaking and partisan gridlock. Populist narratives have gained traction on both ends of the political spectrum. This instability fuels frustration and makes it harder to address long-term national priorities effectively. From housing policy to climate goals, major reforms are often delayed or diluted by changing administrations and fractured mandates. Even local governments are feeling the strain, as cuts to funding reduce their ability to provide consistent public services. 2. Cultural identity crisis. The UK's cultural identity is evolving. Increasing diversity has led to questions about what it means to be British today. Debates around immigration, historical memory, and regional autonomy are ongoing. Calls for Scottish and Welsh independence have become louder, while younger generations challenge traditional symbols and values. This change is both enriching and unsettling. Open dialogue and inclusive representation are crucial to maintaining unity. At the same time, education systems and media must play a role in fostering a shared understanding of Britain's history and future. As demographics shift and generational values diverge, tensions around national celebrations, flags, and cultural representation have become flashpoints in public discourse. 1. Mental health and well-being crisis. A 2024 Mind UK report found that 7.8% of adults feel lonely, always or often. Economic stress, digital overload, and social isolation are key factors. Mental health services are expanding, but demand continues to outpace supply. NHS support is often difficult to access quickly, leaving many without timely care. Rising mental health concerns among young people, including higher rates of self-harm and anxiety, underscore the urgency of systemic support. Schools, workplaces, and communities are being urged to integrate mental well-being into their core values and services. Campaigns to normalize mental health conversations are helping, but persistent stigma, long waiting lists, and fragmented support systems remain major obstacles to widespread improvement. The UK stands at a pivotal crossroads. From economic pressure and housing shortages to political turmoil and social change, the challenges are real, but not insurmountable. Britain's future depends on collaboration, inclusive policymaking, and a shared commitment to rebuilding trust, opportunity, and well-being. With resilience and vision, the UK can navigate this new era with purpose and unity. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.